So let's be honest, most people out there are learning how to use large language models. And that's fine. But this is for the people who want to build them. We're going to dive deep, get our hands dirty, and really deconstruct what it takes to get past just using the apps and start understanding the very core of generative AI.
And you've picked a good time to get serious about this because the stakes are just, well, they're massive. Look at this. The generative AI job market isn't just growing, it's absolutely exploding. We're talking a projected 5 or even 6-fold increase in the next 5 years alone. Seriously, mastering this stuff isn't just another skill for your resume, it's about putting yourself at the very center of a massive technological shift.
Okay, so that leads us to the big question, right? With literally everybody and their dog trying to get into the space, how do you actually separate yourself from the pack? What's the thing that makes you the genuine expert? The one who's truly indispensable and not just another casual user?
To figure that out, we've got to talk about a really common mistake. It's a pitfall, really, that so many people fall into. I call it the application first trap. You know the one. It's that super tempting shortcut where you jump right to building the cool app without ever understanding how the engine actually works. And look, this isn't just my opinion. This is a real problem. As Dr. Raj Dander from MIT puts it, there's a huge gap between using these models and really understanding them. Tons of people can prompt an LLM to get a result, sure, but almost nobody can tell you about the actual nuts and bolts humming away under the hood.
And this knowledge gap, it's being made wider by all these learning shortcuts we see everywhere. You know, the quick crash courses, the app building tools like LangChain that just hide all the complexity, or just firing up a Google Colab notebook and running code without touching the theory. All of these things teach you the what, but they completely skip over the how. It's like learning to drive a car without ever knowing what an engine is.
And to really appreciate just how complex that engine has become, let's take a little trip down memory lane. This tale of two chatbots is the perfect way to see how far we've come, and to see just how much knowledge we're leaving on the table when we only skim the surface. Okay, so check this out. On the left, we've got Eliza from way back in the 1960s. This was one of the first chatbots ever, and honestly, it was basically just a bunch of simple rule-based tricks. If you typed "I am sad," it was hard-coded to spit back something like, "Why are you sad?" It had zero real understanding, and the conversation would fall apart almost instantly. Now, look at the right. We have today's models, like ChatGPT. This isn't about simple rules. We're talking about a massive deep learning architecture with an incredibly sophisticated grasp of context, all to give you something genuinely useful. And this comparison right here, this is the whole point. That jump from Eliza to ChatGPT wasn't just a small step. It was a giant leap built on decades of hardcore computer science and machine learning research. The gap between just using the tool and actually understanding the architecture, well, it's never been bigger. If you just stick to that application layer, you're missing the entire foundation. So what's the alternative? How in the world do you bridge that massive gap? Well, it comes down to a different approach. It's definitely more rigorous, yeah, it's more demanding. But believe me, it is so much more rewarding. Let's call it the foundational method. At its heart, this whole method is really about something called first principles learning. The idea is simple but powerful. Instead of starting at the top with a finished product, you start at the absolute bottom. You break the entire system down to its most basic, fundamental truths, those nuts and bolts we talked about, and then you build your understanding and even the model itself all the way back up from scratch. And here's the really exciting part. This isn't some impossible theoretical goal anymore. It's more achievable today than it has ever been. I mean, think about it. Just a few years ago, the best models were total black boxes, blocked away. But now, the game has totally changed. With these incredible open-source models like Llama 3.1 hitting GPT-4 level performance, the actual architecture of a state-of-the-art LLM is out there for everyone to see. The blueprint is just waiting for you. Now, this isn't just some vague philosophy. It's a real, structured process. Step 1, you start with top-notch reference material. Then, you break down every single concept, taking detailed notes. After that, you really cement the knowledge by trying to reteach it. And finally, you put it all into practice by building a complete LLM, piece by piece, from the ground up. All right, let's get to the payoff. Why go through all this effort? Because following this foundational path, it's not just some fun academic project. It leads to a level of mastery that will completely change your career. Just imagine this scenario for a second. You're in a tough technical interview, and they ask you a super deep question about, say, positional encoding or the mechanics of query key values in an intention mechanism. Instead of just reciting a definition from a textbook, you can look them in the eye and say with absolute confidence, I've built this from scratch. I know the details inside and out. That right there is the difference between a user and an expert.
Which really leaves us with one final question for you to think about. In a field moving this fast, which path are you going to take? Are you going to be someone who just uses the cool applications that other people create? Or are you going to be someone with the deep foundational knowledge to actually build the next generation of these incredible tools? The choice is all yours.